Seen him at the Goodman, you've seen him at the Writers Theater, you've seen him on Broadway, and now you get to see him at Louder Than a Mom. Please welcome Mark Grappe.
In 1998, I had a very good year as an actor. David Mamet once said that all actors over the course of a long career get the same amount of breaks or opportunities, and it's just what you make of them. Let me tell you about 1998. I got cast at the Goodman Theater in a big play that was going to go to Broadway. It was the world premiere of an Eric Bogosian play. I was playing Robert Klein's son and Mark Ruffalo's older brother. I know. And when the play closed, I got cast as the lead in a movie directed by the director of Bang the Drum Slowly. I was number one on the call sheet. For those of you who know what that means, Fran could tell you that's good. It's good. Usually you play reporter number 4. It's number 117 on the call sheet. And I was playing opposite the great Tyne Daly and the great Frederick Forrest from Apocalypse Now. And the movie wrapped, and I thought, let's go for the trifecta. And I was in LA, and I got cast in the biggest pilot that NBC was producing that year. John Wells had made a big hit with ER, and they convinced him to do another show, and it was a legal drama, and I got cast as one of the series regulars. So you can imagine how confident and calm and cool I was that summer day when I was summoned for jury duty. So you've been there, right? You've gone to jury duty. You start in the big room upstairs, and you know, they kind of winnow you down, and they keep picking names, and you keep hoping your luck's gonna hold out, and you go from one group to a smaller group, and I kept kind of going into the groups, and I found myself in the courtroom, and they're doing voir dire, you know, they're picking jurors, and the judge is asking people why they should be on the jury, why they shouldn't be on the jury. He's going down names, and he's sitting people, and you think, well, he's got to get to 12, and then I'll be free to go. And they're about halfway through, and he calls my name. He says, Mark Grappe. And you stand up, and he says, Mr. Grappe, are you an officer of the court? Do you have any litigation before the court? Is there any reason you should not be sat on this jury? And I say, well, Your Honor,
oh, no.
I'm not a lawyer, but I play one on TV. There ensues the longest, quietest pause outside of a Harold Pinter play you will ever hear. Finally, the judge takes off his glasses and he says, what does that mean? And I say, well, an actor cast in a pilot for NBC, it's sort of a big deal, and you know, I played a lawyer, and he stops me and he says, what does that have to do with this case? And I say, well, I spent 6 weeks with the prosecutors researching my role. And he stops me again and he says, and in those 6 weeks, did you learn any secret prosecutorials, magic, you know, potions that would lend an unfair advantage to the defense? And I say, no. And he says, is there any reason you couldn't be impartial in this case? And I say, no. And then he says, is there any reason you should be shirking your civic duty and not be sat on this jury? And I say, no, sir. And he says, well, you're going to be sat, and sat I was. Now that's my 9:30 in the morning behavior. I have the entire day to spend with these people. He starts sitting jurors left and right, because now they know this guy's not going to put up with any baloney. So it's all yes sir, no sir, and boom, we're sat. We're a jury of 12. I am among my peers, and we get a trial. And I don't remember the ins and outs of the trials. I know he wrapped it up in the afternoon. In the early afternoon, it's adjourned and the case goes to the jury. And what happens is you go into the jury room. And we all go in the jury room, and the bailiff sticks his head in and he says, "Y'all need to elect a foreman," and shuts the door. And this black guy who I'm serving on the jury with, this cool guy, he's in the corner and he pipes up and he says, "Let's make Hollywood do it." So, for the rest of the day at the Cook County Circuit Court, I am known as Hollywood. Once again, I don't really remember the ins and outs of it. I do know that in my mortification, I would have given the guy the death penalty to get out of that room. But we come back and we render our verdict. And the judge actually turned out to be very sweet man. And he gave a very touching speech about one of the greatest duties you can do as a citizen is to serve on a jury. And he thanks us for our service. And then he says, "Mr. Grappe, please tell the court the name of your television show so that we can watch it and say that we knew you when." And I say, "It's called The Adversaries, Your Honor. It will be on NBC." Well, let me get you up to speed. The play got atrocious reviews, and the director and the playwright got into a big fight, and it was not going to go to Broadway. The movie did open. It opened at the Fine Arts Theater downtown, which seats, I would say, 2,000 people. It opened to 5 people. The director and his wife, myself and my wife, and a member of the Saints, a volunteer usher organization who was a fan of mine and wore a hockey helmet in case he fell down. As far as the television show goes, on the last day of shooting, an executive from NBC came up to me and said, "You should enjoy this. You should walk up and down the street because this is the last time you won't be famous. The show is going to be a big hit and you and your co-stars are going to be very famous." Except for my 5 friends here, I assume none of you know who I am, so you can see how that turned out. But you know what? I wouldn't trade any of it. And I swear to God, I believe in my heart that sometime over the last 20 years, one of my fellow jurors, one of those 11, was sitting at home and looked up at their television and saw me on Sex and the City, or Law and the Order, or Arrested Development, and turned to the person next to them and said, "I was on jury duty with that guy. Way to go, Hollywood."